What's up, everybody? It's Barry with Vulcan Glass Art Studio. Today we're going to be doing our fourth and final project in our Intro to Glass series, the Flower Burst pendant. Now, they're sometimes called compression pendants, sometimes called implosion pendants. There's tons of different names for them, so we're just going to call it the Flower Burst. Now, this is going to be the first hollow worked bead that we've done in this series. It's going to take a little bit of practice to get it right, but it's a really great bead once you do. So as always, on screen you have all the tools and glass that you're going to need for this project. Make sure you like the video, hit that subscribe button for future notifications, and let's get started. So the first step in doing a flower burst bead is, if you're going to use stringer for petals or leaves or whatever, make sure you pull your stringers first. You're going to want to pull them reasonably thin, because this whole process is going to be worked on some fairly thin glass, so you don't want them to be too thick and difficult to work with. I am just going to use green for the leaves, and that's about it. Alright, next, go ahead and grab your hollow tube. Lots of sizes will work. I recommend 32 millimeter, but honestly, you can do this with pretty much any size. It's just going to change the size of your overall final product. You want to gather this up. You don't want the air to get pushed out completely of the tube, but you do want to gather it around so you have kind of a small bubble inside this thick clear. And then you're going to blow that out nice and thin. Like that. For this particular project, if you see it start to ripple and have some kind of weird texture on it, that's fine. Just know that those are spots where it's really thin. So be careful when you're heating things over those spots to make sure that they don't sink in. Okay, so I'm going to create my leaves. The first thing you want to do is you're going to be decorating the top half of this ball. So by defining what that half is, it'll make the rest of your design process a little bit easier. So all I'm going to do is do squiggles at the halfway mark on this piece. See how it kind of dipped in there? I don't know if you can see that. But that was because the clear is super thin there, and that's fine. It doesn't matter in the final product. You just have to be careful not to let your clear completely sink in and get all deformed. Which is why the flame is real low, and I'm using a very small, thin stringer to do this work. Alright. So now, take your color, doesn't matter which, and you're just going to create dots all the way around the piece above your green stringer. You want to make sure you're heating your color, but do not heat the clear at all, or it will sink in. Once you got dots all the way around, grab your next color and do it again. And you're basically going to keep doing this all the way around your piece until you've reached the center top of your bubble. If you do this quickly, you don't need to reheat it. It won't have any cracking issues. If you're not doing it quickly, when you reheat it, hold it way out in the flame. So it's like not even on screen levels of out in the flame. And very shortly, as soon as you see anything kind of turn orange, stop, you're good. That's as hot as you want it to get. Next layer. These dots that you lay down do not need to be large. I mean, they can be. And once I've gotten to this point, I usually like to just put one dot in the center to make sure that the whole piece has some kind of color on it. Alright, so now for the kind of tricky part. First, preheat it just a little bit, make sure you don't have anything cracking. Then you're going to want to heat the top part of your bubble. And focus your heat there. And then you're going to, once that starts to move and melt, you want to lower your hand slightly so that it will start to droop inside the bubble that you've created. So you can see here how it's kind of starting to droop inside. You want to do that until all of the color has drooped inside all of the clear. You want to try to keep this as straight on your tube as possible, but there's a fair amount of leeway if you don't manage to do that. Don't hold it too much or it'll sink in way too fast. You want this to be kind of a gradual sinking process. So now I'm down to just the leaves. When you get down to the bottom colors, kind of hit the inside rim of your divot that you've now created. And then let it droop, dip, and you actually, I let the glass touch. So the inside bubble is now going to touch the outside bubble, and I actually suck just a little, real quick, to seal that. And now you want to kind of create your back. Don't worry about bubbles as they form. We're actually just going to go in and pop those later. So you kind of want to gather this up like it's any of the other beads. And stamp it. And we do it again, and then we'll stamp it again. And you're trying to get some of that divot to fill before we then put the background color on and kind of fill the entire thing to make sure there is no air in the final piece. Alright. Stamp it one more time. So now there's a tiny divot in the bottom. I'm going to take whatever background color you choose to use. I'm using blue just because I'm lazy and blue and black look good. Get it nice and hot, and this time you're going to start in the center. You want to start on the edge of the divot and push the glass in, so that all of the air will get pushed out of the piece as you're adding your color. So we get it nice and hot, and then push it in and down, just like that. And then you can leave a little extra color on there if you want. So see how there's a little extra, more than we've had on any of the previous projects. Keep just that color while trying to avoid heating the piece itself. Not too much, you're going to heat it obviously, but just focus on your blue. And once that has gotten super hot, stamp it one more time, a little bit walk around, and that gets you your back. So that should fill the air bubble that was left by that divot, and then also kind of hide how the work went. You know, the work that you did, you now don't see any of the back of it. All right. So now we're going to take either the 4 mil or 6 mil. I'm going to use 4 mil. Create a handle on the back, and we're going to take this off the tube. Focus your heat with a fine flame. Pull it off while leaving as little clear as possible. Now there'll be a bubble there. First I like to take the tweezers and kind of pull as much of that off as I can. But now is the time when, if there are any bubbles in your piece, you heat up the surface of your piece and actually pop them, and that'll get the air out of your piece. So like this one, pop, see, kind of leaves a little hole like that. And there's another bubble that's actually going to condense into a larger one as I heat this, so I'm going to heat it and then pop it. Alright, so the shape's pretty good. We have one large bubble left over. So I'm going to focus my flame on that. Pop. You can see there's that little divot. Same as all the others. And then we just heat it up one more time, and it'll all go back into shape. If you have a lot of flame control, you can use a 4mm rod for this. If your flame control is not as good, or you don't have a single tip center fire, you can go ahead and use your 6mm rod, and that'll help the bead stay a little bit more centered on your piece during this step. Take your time after you've popped bubbles and making sure that you get rid of all of the texture. Even if it's barely visible on the product you're currently working on while it's in the flame, it will become very visible later on when someone is looking at it. Alright, so now you decide which way you want this to be viewed from. You know, which way your flower burst looks best. Find where you want to put your handle, and this time we're going to use a clear handle. Same process though, get your 6mm, heat up the piece, heat up the rod, touch the two so that they're practically melted in already. Tap off your other handle. You can use this as a time to use gravity to help center your piece, and then add your handle back into the bottom. Now, once again, we're going to make our loop. This one's going to be similar to the Monet pendant loop in that you have to gather it up because we used a 6mm rod attaching. You can add a 10mm and just do it normally, but I don't know, I just tend to use a 6 and gather it up. Don't forget to heat that section right where the joint meets to make sure that's nice and melted in. Once this thing is nice and hot, same process as before, flat side up, down and away. Stop, hold, flip, and down. Don't let them touch. Once it stops moving, flame cut away. And on to the tweezer work. Back half of the bead, or back half of the loop, center it, smush it in. Make sure you melt in the connection point. Heat the entire loop. Hot enough so you can move it, not hot enough so that it moves on its own. Center everything. Grab it through the loop, tap off your handle, hit that bottom scar, and don't forget the back scar that's on your piece. And you've got your flower burst. Toss that in the kiln, and you're ready for the next one. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoy the content, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and then if you want to support the channel further, check us out on Patreon at Vulcan Glass TV. I'll see you in the next one.